Hello, Annie.
We're just going to make a few brief statements. I'm Sigrid McCauley. I'm Annie Farmer's. Sure, sorry. I'm Sigrid McCauley. I'm Annie Farmer's attorney. Today was a towering day for justice. As we saw, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the crimes she committed against these survivors and so many others. Today showed us that individuals can be held, that the chorus of voices of these survivors prevailed and showed accountability. It's really a victorious day for justice. And on behalf of all the survivors we've represented, we want to thank the prosecutors for their fierce and relentless pursuit of justice here. We want to thank the judge for being just and true and thoughtful. And we want to thank all of you for never stopping and continuing to pursue this story and make sure that their voices were heard. So now Annie's going to make a few statements.
How do the survivors feel about Maxwell's apology?
I think they can probably speak to that, but personally, for me, that was not an apology. She once again did not acknowledge her crimes, did not take responsibility for them in any way, so that was really disappointing.
May this sentence demonstrate that it is never too late for the truth to come out and never too late for there to be accountability. If you're someone who's experienced sexual abuse or exploitation and did not feel safe to report those crimes, or were not believed when you did, or were told that the perpetrators would not be held accountable, this is for you. There's still a lot of work to be done on this issue, but in this fight we need to celebrate the victories, and today this is a big victory. The truths about these crimes, about child sexual abuse and exploitation, are deeply uncomfortable. They happen more frequently than we want to acknowledge, and often perpetrators, as we saw in this case, are not strangers in vans. They're the people that live in our communities, and they're people often in positions of power. Maxwell and Epstein were predators who were able to use that power and privilege to harm countless individuals, and for far too long, the institutions that should be protecting the public were instead protecting them. And I still hope that we find out more about how that was allowed to occur. We know that historically, though, that this has happened in many organizations, in many institutions, that predators are protected, in churches, in political groups, in the foster care system. And so I just hope that this sentence can be another sign that voices are coming together and saying no more. If you commit these crimes, you will be punished. If you facilitate these crimes, you will be punished. If you are a bystander that looks the other way, you will not be allowed to continue to hold a position of power. It's easy to focus on the darkness in a case like this, but I also think it's important to highlight all the people that have worked so hard to bring the truth to light. And I want to start by expressing my gratitude and appreciation for my sister, Maria Farmer, who reported these crimes over decades ago and has so bravely continued to try and bring attention and fight for justice in this case. For the other women who spoke in the courtroom, I am so grateful. For the other survivor sisters that I have met on this journey who have worked so hard to make this happen, I am incredibly grateful. This would not have happened without so many voices coming together. I am so incredibly grateful for my team of attorneys, most especially Sigrid McCauley, who has gone above and beyond at every step of the way to support us and encourage us that this could happen. For Brad Edwards and his team, for the media who were, really, I think, continued to tell the story and try and bring attention to this case, to the agents who worked so hard and dedicated themselves these last few years to the Maxwell case, and to the fierce team of prosecutors who took a chance to bring this to trial and to show that she could be held accountable for this heinous scheme. So,
how did you feel speaking in court, Annie? How did you feel speaking in court?
It actually felt very powerful to finally have a chance to speak and have my voice on the record and say the things that I wanted to say about how her crimes had impacted myself and the people that I know and care about.
Annie, how did you feel listening to her in court?
I'll just say one more thing, that her statement felt like a very hollow apology to me. She did not take responsibility for the crimes that she committed, and it felt like once more her trying to do something to benefit her and not at all about the harm that she had caused.
Is 20 years long enough, Annie? Is 20 years long enough?
We're very happy with this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So everyone, thanks for, yeah, I'm Brad Edwards, and over the course of the last almost 15 years, I've represented over 60 of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Brad Edwards. And this is a major victory, not just for Annie Farmer and Kate and some of the others who spoke today, but also for the dozens of other victims. I'm not only involved in this sex trafficking operation, but that are being trafficked worldwide. I think that it sends a really powerful message to conform with the law and to be deterred from engaging in any form of conduct like this, whether you are the facilitator, groomer, perpetrator, whoever you are. Nobody is above the law, and I think that's the message that everybody understands very loud and clear today. I think our system works. It took a long, long time, longer than we wanted it to, but today is a good and positive day and tells us that our country's still intact and our system, it really has worked the right way.
How about Bill Clinton?
How about Bill Clinton? Look, there's a lot of people that have a lot of information we've said for a long time. They know things, and they should be speaking, and the time is now. And if they're continuing to not speak, they're hurting victims, they're hurting survivors, they're not helping. So we could sit here and yell out names of a lot of people who have a lot of power and prestige, and they hide behind that and instead don't come forward and just do the right thing like a normal, good human being. There are people that are coward, and I wish that they would come forward, and maybe that's one of them. I do think that some people who have not been acknowledged today, such as Courtney Wild, this doesn't happen without her. Virginia Roberts, it doesn't happen without her. Maria Farmer, it doesn't happen without her. Sarah Ransom, doesn't happen without her. It took a team of survivors, very courageous people who sacrificed their lives, their privacy, their children, in order to see that justice was done for Jeffrey Epstein and for Ghislaine Maxwell, some of whom just can't be here today. But there's many, many that deserve recognition. In addition to the lawyers and this wonderful judge who issued a very deliberate and fair decision on the bench just now. And in fact, Ghislaine Maxwell's very lucky because she was prosecuted for a very distinct set of crimes, and there were many other crimes out there and many other victims that she could have been charged with. So on a very conservative indictment, she's getting 20 years. So that doesn't sound lucky, but in the course and scope of what she did, it is.
Do you think the judge was impressed by Ghislaine Maxwell's statement that you could have given her 50 years?
I can't imagine that anyone was impressed by Ghislaine Maxwell's statement. It was probably the closest thing she's ever come to acknowledgement of anything in her life, but it was passive acknowledgement. She acknowledged somebody else's pain, but not that she caused it. And obviously she was the perpetrator of the crime. To think that she's being charged for something that Jeffrey Epstein did is arrogant in and of itself. She was charged with the crimes she committed and only a fraction of them. There are other people that should be held accountable. I can't talk a whole lot about that, but I don't think that this is over. If it's over from a criminal perspective, it's not over from a civil perspective. So we will keep pushing forward until the whole range of people are known, what they did and what they didn't do. The government prosecutes them. That'll be great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Moving on.
are just, as bad as Ghislaine. You guys let this happen. The media let this happen. I came forward to the media in 2016 and you guys did nothing. A lot of you.
How do you feel about
I really hope that a lot of lessons are learned, and for anyone thinks that you can violate another human being, I really
Careful with the snacking. Snacking's not good. People lose their teeth like that.
How do you feel about her speech? How do you feel about her speech? How do you feel about what she said? How do you feel about the fact she was challenging against Harry?
Who is she?
Not taking any questions, so those are the rules of engagement. We have resisted speaking to you throughout the pendency of this case out of respect for the rules of the court. But as you can see now, the mask is off. Our client, Ghislaine Maxwell, has been vilified, pilloried, and it left little room for her to be treated fairly, because even before she stepped forward into this courthouse, she was being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion. Ghislaine will appeal this case, and we are confident that she will prevail on appeal. We all know that the person who should have been sentenced today escaped accountability, avoided his victims, avoided absorbing their pain, and receiving the punishment he truly deserved. Clever and cunning to the end, Jeffrey Epstein left Ghislaine Maxwell holding the whole bag. Ghislaine Maxwell should never have been denied bail. She has endured the most unusual and severe conditions of pretrial detention in solitary confinement. We recognize that the public at large has little sympathy or compassion for inmates. That, of course, is until they themselves or members of their families have brushes with the law and find themselves in the midst and thrust into the criminal justice system. Ghislaine's treatment for 22 months in solitary confinement, and recently again, was abhorrent. The conditions in the MDC, even mentioned by the judge, are reprehensible. For those of you in the press, if you need a story, if you want a story, there is your lead. I urge you to run with it. Ghislaine Maxwell is a truly extraordinary person. She has been sentenced to an extremely long term of imprisonment for a 60-year-old woman who has shown no involvement whatsoever in criminal activity for the better part of the past 20 years, or anything before the conduct of conviction. She has been incredibly strong to endure the daily vilification and mistreatment. It has been my personal and professional privilege to have represented Ghislaine Maxwell. And I want to thank her family and her personal attorney for their unfailing support of her. And we thank all the people who have expressed outrage by her situation. And that is all I have to say. So thank you.
Can you comment on Ghislaine's decision to speak in court?
I thought her statement was moving and on point, and as everyone should know, that anybody who is appealing their sentence has the right to maintain the record and the issues on appeal. So I thank you. I thank you.
Kevin, you're speaking?
Yes. So just to say that we have nothing to add to the very heartfelt statement that Ghislaine gave in court, and nothing to add to the comments that she made about the victims, and her sincere hope that the trial, her conviction, and this sentencing will allow the victims some closure. Just to echo what Bobby Sternheim has said, Ghislaine will be exercising her right to appeal her conviction and sentence, and we, the family, will be solidly behind her all the way. Thank you very much.
Are you coming home? Kevin,
How are you going to pay?
Kevin, est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire
Like we don't know, okay? Wait a few seconds. Can you?
Thank you very much. No further questions.
Does suicide watch concern you?
Not suicidal, want to commit suicide. And that's why I say to you, look into what goes on in the Bureau of Prisons. There is a story there, and you deserve to uncover it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Heim. It was my shopping. My
How are you feeling today? There's a curve coming up. How are you feeling as a family? Guys, it's a
Good. This has been a long journey. So, what's next?
He's appealing, of course.
You're going to appeal?
Are you urging suicide?
Yes.
You're going to get hurt. One of you is going to get hurt.
Okay.
Hey, Rachel, dive before she finishes her sentence.
Sorry.
So, what do you think the results of the appeal will be?
Somebody's table.
The family.
Adam.
We got a statement.